Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you. From Image Comics, we're going to be talking about Gospel, issue number 3. It is Everything by Will Morris. Written, created, drawn, art, and letters. I said in colors. The cover is actually done by Verse, the only thing that's not done by Will Morris. Everything else is. So this is the story of Matilda and Pitt, and they are on their way to retrieve this magical hammer that supposedly smited the devil back in the day, and that's who they're taking the hammer to go fight, is the devil that's in this church of Rumpus. Before I get started and go any further, now that I've got you caught up, please like, comment, subscribe. That does help this channel. Hit that bell if you do like these reviews. I always take in requests, that kind of thing. Alright, so back to the book, Gospel. Alright, so the book kind of starts out randomly. It's in the woods. We're catching up with these two gentlemen right here. One is a jewelry merchant. The other one is he's supposed to be like an abandoned person that got mugged, who's, supposed to be injured. Of course, he is trying to trick the jewelry merchant. The jewelry merchant quickly notices that the thief has a ring on. The jewelry merchant gets very interested in the ring. Before any of that can happen, the thief tries to spring his trap, calling out his boys, but the jewelry merchant does show that the boys have already been taken care of. The thief gets, kind of in a, he gets all wild up and angry, and, you killed my boys, and he goes after the jewelry merchant, that at this moment turns out to be something way more than just a jewelry merchant. We see that, instantly he sheds his clothes, he hooks up in the tree. He does something that scares the thief so badly that the thief runs away with his eyes closed. And eventually you see in the pages he falls down. The last thing you see right here is the which turns out to be an assassin, but it's an assassin that eventually kills that thief. And does retrieve the ring, but we find out later on. So most of this book has been told, in the past, but there is a running storyline, a thread where where we are in modern days, and it is this elderly man that is telling the story of Matilda and Pitt to this social worker. The social worker is getting to the point where she's getting interested, but not only that, but to help out the old man. So it's basically like continuing the story. She asked specifically about Rumpus and the hammer. At this moment, the book gives you a detailed story of how Rumpus smited the devil. He was like, I guess, the best smith in Rumpus or something like that, and he gets, basically offered by the devil to make him, a tool that would burn through like any kind of pit or any kind of smith or something like that. And he does create which they show here, he does create a tool for the devil, but it has like a flaw, and that's how he ends up making the hammer. He makes this other tool for himself. Basically he tricks the devil, and after he makes the hammer, he basically like knocks the devil into the fiery inferno, and he gets cast back into hell. They show from the later days that the smith is actually like, he has his smith in like a cavern below the city of Rumpus. And that's kind of like the story, and the social worker asked if Matilda and Pitt would have known that story, and of course, like the guy that's telling the story said at that time everybody in that city would have known that story by heart. It's what the city was founded on. Finally, we catch back up with Matilda and Pitt, and what they're doing, and basically they had just traveled through that forest that we saw that assassin and the thief, and we find out that yes, they did get attacked by the thief and his boys, and they did get like most of their stuff, their horse, all the stuff they had. So basically Matilda and Pitt are stopping off in this town trying to like make some money or something. They do end up going to this tavern, and of course Pitt is a storyteller, and so they go in there, and he starts telling the story, trying to earn money. We see that the assassin has already located where they are and has already entered the tavern. At this time, Matilda, for some reason, is going around, and it's not for some reason, it's a thing that she does, but she's trying to boast up her own story. So she's going around specifically to, like, guys that are really drunk, and she's like, hey, I want to hear an adventure story, because at this time he's telling, like, a love serenade or something. But she does, like, kind of influence some people to start shouting out, hey, we want to hear about Matilda, we want to hear action stories, you know. At this time, we kind of see a couple different things, like Pitt kind of getting upset because the people want the story changed. We do see in the background the assassin kind of moving around, trying to get closer to Matilda. But all in all, like, eventually the assassin does try to take out Matilda. This guy ends up, like, shouting out that he wants to hear about Matilda, and this like a bartender shoves him. Right as she shoves him, the assassin tries to kill Matilda and eventually stabs him in the back by accident. This guy's so drunk he doesn't even realize he really got stabbed. He's like, hey, I got stabbed. And with that being, like, when he says that, and the whole rest of the tavern realizes the assassin, and you know, and they all start trying to go after her. It causes this massive bar fight. Right when it happens, they had, like, something that was keeping the money that Pitt was collecting as he was telling the story, and it gets knocked over. For some reason in the story, Matilda starts picking up the coins, and at one point Pitt is actually screaming for help, and she is more interested in collecting the coins, but not even that. She kind of, like, because all the coins are shown dropping here, and she kind of runs off, like, past that. But the thing to note that Pitt's screaming for her help, and she's like, wait, you know, I'll be back, you know. She does end up running off, and I guess trying to collect the coins. The assassin does grab her from behind. There's this whole, like, a scene where she has her pinned to the ground, and the whole time Matilda is trying to keep her talking so she can go for this broken table leg as a weapon. But eventually it just turns out to be this mockery of, like, who this assassin is. You know, Matilda is like, yeah, you know, I can't keep a hold of my own reputation. I don't know who all these other assassins are and who they're supposed to be. And eventually the assassin is just like, fear me, you know, you will know me. And even before Matilda can strike her, we see this I think it's Warden Gilrod that shows up, and I think he appeared in the first episode in the other town. But he's just randomly at this tavern. He does eventually strike down the assassin, and Matilda's like, look, the assassin, the murderer, get him! You know, and the rest of the tavern eventually just grabs a hold of the assassin. As that happens, Pitt and Matilda are leaving. Matilda's kind of like, hey, that's crazy, you know, like, hey, look, I found a horse, you know, we can get away. And as she's looking into the horse, she does realize that she didn't realize it's the assassin's horse, but she does find her ring and a lot of their stuff. Pitt mentions, like, he says one line about, that's great that everything's working out for you. And you can see right here that the space between them, we got Matilda over here and Pitt over there, as he says, or vice versa. And that's where this issue leaves off. It was kind of, honestly, that the very last couple of panels, it kind of hit me by surprise. I had to go back and check what Matilda had done to Pitt, because up until this point they were, you know, a pretty good team. During this whole, like, tavern situation, you know, she had done something, and it was, I'm assuming it's that scene when he was screaming for help and she was, you know, like, wait, you know, and she was more, it kind of looked like she was more focused on the money. But that's where this issue leaves us off. So far, I'm loving this story. I'm loving everything about it. The art, the background lore that's in there. Sometimes, like, it's like the little background information they gave us about Rumpus. I honestly want to go look that up because I myself have never heard anything about the Church of Rumpus or a hammer that smited the devil. They do give us a preview to the next issue, which this cover looks amazing. It says it's coming out February 8th. They do give us a couple like process panels of how Will Morris kind of designed the story and the art and stuff like that. But that is this issue. That is my review. My thoughts is I'm still loving it. This book caught me by surprise. I probably, if somebody would have told me what this book was about, I would not be that interested in it. But after reading it and looking at the art and everything, it's been fantastic. It's a different type of, like a new modern age fairy tale kind of thing, or a folklore, I should say, not fairy tale. But hey, that's what I got for you. Probably won't have any more reviews tonight, maybe tomorrow. Keep a lookout for that. Let me know down below, are you reading this book or did you pass it up? I know I've not heard a lot of people talk about this book, but after hearing about this, are you even excited at all to read it? I don't know. But hey, that's what I got for you. Alright, guys.